So
Yeah, I might hang out for a little bit, Franky.
by all means, yeah, just chill. Matty's on his way in. Probably, I think Will from the block want to interact, and we just usually kick it and talk some DCL stuff, and usually like kind of sum up the week and whatever's coming up, and we have to usually cut ourselves off after about an hour and a half, because then at that point we're just going on and on and on.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a few of us that we sit in chats all day long. Like when Matty, it's crazy to be like in contact with him all the time, because it's like he's in Australia. So I'm literally like wake up at 2, 3 in the morning. Last night it was, I think, 5 in the morning. I'm talking with Matty like, hey, what do you think about this idea? The thing I told you guys about, the NFT invitation sponsorship thing. Like, these are ideas I might have at 4 in the morning. I'm just like, Matty, I know he's up. So I'm like, what up? You know what I mean? So that's like, you know, luckily these days I'm pretty much 100% DCL. So I'm just like, you know, that's just part of my rotation. Now I can go to sleep at 5 in the morning as long as I get up for whatever event I gotta do. What's happening, Matty?
Sorry.
What's that?
We can hear you, Matty.
Yeah, we can hear you. So it is working, man.
Welcome to the party.
All right, I'm gonna send an invite to Open NFT as well. All right, so we're partying tonight. Daniel, I did want to actually kind of talk to you, because I know we didn't get a chance to do our one-on-one that we were supposed to do about your Tomb Chaser and the NFTs that went with it. How did all that go as far as how did everything run and everything?
Tomb Chaser did really, really well.
Yeah.
We had like 100 people coming over, more than 100. The cool thing is that we have these signed books, right? Like the one we placed for Cold Eye. And we can kind of keep track how many people visit our place without spending any money. So it's like, oh, I just go there and click E, and I can leave my email address, and we will send you some random NFT. Nice. If the prices are not like extremely
gas prices,
high, you know,
crazy. What we at right now? The gas prices are
I've been trying to send people since Viking Gym, and we still haven't managed to mint all the tokens because the prices are extremely high. I mean, I'm not a rich person, so I try to as you know, send something that I can afford and don't find they're ripping me off. But so it's been fun. We have been having this competition over the weekend where people have to try beat the best score. And we have this dude that made in 29 seconds. Okay. So over all the team we have been thinking that this guy have been cheating, and he has been some hacks around the leaderboard score. But then this guy called Red Noxious.
That's my guy.
So this guy goes and tried, and then he beat the score of the guy we thought he cheated, right? So we have this issue. We didn't know if we should give this guy the trophy or wait for it, and so we finally decided this guy definitely did something. We don't know if he cheated and he tried to modify the score himself, or if he exploited it, because if he exploits some bugs that we have over the platform, is our mistake. So for me, it's this guy deserves a trophy because he bypassed our limits, and he made it. It was trouble for us, but it was a fun decision. It was also fun to see the people over the weekend getting over themselves, oh, this guy beat me. I'm going to try to play over again, so try to beat his score.
Red just put in the chat. He says, when you get so good that you verify a cheater,
Exactly. So it was really fun. We're trying to look for ways to improve the lead score. Also, we're trying to find new ways of participating. Maybe not like paying 10 mana every time you want to get to the leaderboard. Maybe like a small season, like where you play like 100 mana or 2,200 mana, and you can play all the weekend, all the times you want, and then all these times add up to your score. But it was totally fine. We're looking forward to have the next Tom Chaser event. I don't know where. I don't know when. We have a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, I've spoke to Will before about like some sort of like in-game currency that like let's say like I don't know if you've spoke to Chestnut Brews too much about what they're doing with the Wonder Coins, but that whole idea of like the Wonder Coins and like you get like gifted some for the day, so you go and play. And then if you really want to, get more, then you can buy them, I think that there's some sort of a good metric there that lets people play for free, but if you want to play a lot, then you would buy some, because you wouldn't be able to just continue to just keep playing for free,
Yeah, exactly. That's what we try to foster within all the games we have. Like, okay, you can play for free as much as you want. Right, there's nobody stopping you, because I still think Decentraland needs a lot of people in it. So having a paywall in front of you for trying a game is not good. So that's why we have this freemium place that you can play as much as you want for free. But if you want to get into the leaderboards and get prizes and get more stuff, you have to pay some mana for it. We are still trying to figure out if a mana per round is worth it, or maybe like small seasons, like if you pay 100 mana, you can play all week long, or maybe you pay 200 mana and you play all week long, and the best one of those scores is the one who is getting the prize. We're trying different things, because I don't like the paywall. I don't like to, it's not about paying, because the price is extremely cheap, but it's more about the hassle of going through the MetaMask, paywall, like, okay, I have to set it, and I know I have to wait until the payment is on to
start
it's a pain in the ass. So,
yeah, exactly. It should be maybe something like you're talking about that's just like one time beforehand, and then you can kind of just get in there and start going, because you really want to get in there and just start playing. Like that's really the gist of it. Real quick, let me just kind of introduce everybody to everybody, because I know we just kind of like jumped into another conversation. John, this is Matty. I don't know if you met Matty before.
Hey John, good to meet you.
John from SuperRare.
We chatted online, but good to see ya.
This is Open NFT. He does a lot of YouTube stuff with me, and he has his own great YouTube channel. And the homie Will from the Block Runner from MetaZone, and these are the conversations we have every week, essentially DCLCore conversations.
Awesome.
So, well, I guess I'll let you kind of kick it off. I don't know if you got any subjects up. Oh wow, that's crazy.
Can you okay?
Was it? I can hear you.
How many people do we have up here? Do we have 8 people? Is that
right now? 7. It's 7.
Wow.
Cody just ran out for a second, but I don't know.
Are we just coming off another stream? So
yeah. So I was talking with Daniel and John and Cody about Cody's artwork and the gallery that he has up, and I figured we just kind of parlay, because I told him by all means hang out and let's just kind of talk some DCL stuff,
Yeah, I gotta leave in like 15 minutes, but figured I'd hang for a little bit.
Yeah, awesome, man. Good to have some art people in here. Just maybe you can just start with Art Week and all that craziness going on Twitter.
Yeah, by all means. I haven't even got a chance to do like Twitter about this stuff. It's been crazy. I've been going since 10 this morning. It's 6 this night, as far as just straight streaming.
Yeah, I just woke up.
Yeah. He said I just woke up.
I always just wake up at these things.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like some weird hour in the nighttime for you, yeah?
Yeah, man. John, so SuperRare just launched your gallery. What's your plans with it? It's awesome to look at. So are the other galleries. love to hear what you guys plan on doing with it, because we all love meeting up in Decentraland. That's what happens. We meet up, we have events, and we can bring the crowd, and we love looking at these art galleries. So yeah, from your perspective.
Yeah, so I mean, like we've kind of been trying to do at least one like curated exhibit per month. So like I think we've done this is like the second one that we've done. So we're gonna have like a rolling exhibition, but then also we'd love to do like some artist spotlights or like collector fireside chat type things where it's like getting to know the people behind the avatar a little bit. So I think just like off the bat, that's some of the like the more probably like straightforward stuff to do. And then we're also using it as a way to kind of engage more traditional museums and galleries and stuff. Like we've been getting a lot of questions about like especially with COVID, like a lot of people, I've been talking to people for like 2 years about digital art and NFTs, and they weren't so interested. But then like COVID comes along and they're like, hey, there's that one weird guy who was telling me about like VR art and stuff. Let's email him. And so kind of using it as a way to show them like, it's not just like video games. Like there's like people taking this really seriously. So kind of using it as a tool to bring some of those folks more into the space.
Yeah, really awesome, man. Can I just say a quick hi to Coldy? Coldy?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, man. Good to meet you.
You too. Yeah, sorry I had to pop out. I'm running double duty right now.
Yeah.
Hey, you're good.
But yeah, no, it's just it's cool to see all you guys. We had a great interview with Franky, and it's fun to see what all you guys are building. I'm a big fan.
Definitely.
So I just totally missed your gallery launch, man, because I woke up just now. It's 8 a.m. But was that launched in the SuperRare gallery or?
No, it's in Momus Park.
So are you directly affiliated with the Momus Park people? Is that?
They're basically sponsoring me as a gallery inside of their park.
No, because I've never really met them. Have you guys met them, Will? Or
no?
Momus Park. I mean, Daniel, that's you guys, right?
Yeah, we're the guys.
All right, yeah, you guys built it.
Momus Park.
I thought you just built it. I didn't know it was you guys.
Yeah, it was us. It's Momus Collective, the guys who own all the pieces, and the people who is behind the scene, like figuring out what artists are going in, what artists not. But in the end, we are the guys building the space and creating some of the art, and because this has been a long-on project for maybe 6 months, 8 months. The first time I spoke with Sebastian about this, it was a long time ago, maybe 10 months or maybe a year. He had this plan where he wanted, in the very early beginnings of Decentraland, he wanted to show our crypto art that he was collecting with other people, and it evolved into a park, and he has a lot of they have a lot of ideas for it, but this is still going on. But yeah, we were the people who built that place. So yeah.
Awesome. Is Seb the guy behind the Madagascar build as well, or is that a different one?
I don't think so.
I believe KJ is doing that.
Yeah, Catherine. AJ Walker.
No, the person that.
Because there is some sort of company behind that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the guy's name's Seb as well. Too many.
Seb was. I think Seb's on the scene right now. I think he's just not in the actual chat here, but I believe he's on the scene, just kind of like watching on the screen, hanging. Seb has reached out to me for a few things, and he's been very helpful. Put me in touch with people like John and Cody, and set me up to do interviews and stuff like that. So, big thank you to him, for sure.
Yeah,
hey guys, I gotta bounce out of here.
Cody, thank you very much, brother.
But always, man. Good to see all you guys. Anybody else who wants to chat, I'm always around. Hit me up.
I'll be hitting you up. We should talk some other time for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Well, have a good weekend, everyone.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Have a good one.
Bye.
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 Yes, Sebastian has been really great. He has been working with us for a long time. He's very helpful. He's always connected with all the people, especially with SuperRare guys. I remember introducing him to the platform because I knew about SuperRare, and I was like, check out this website. It's really cool for crypto art. And he was like blown away, and so months later he was one of the top collectors into SuperRare.
I feel like he bought, like, I remember like seeing his name pop up a little bit, and then it was like popping up and popping up. It's like, oh wow.
Yeah, he was like crazy. I guess they were looking for somewhere to really invest into crypto art, and he found a really good space in SuperRare. I'm really glad that I got to help him, and I'm so really glad that I have the chance to help him out in Decentraland. He has really good. Also, he has been really open about everything we have done for him. Like, for example, Momus Park assets. Now they're open source. You can use them for any project you want. He has also allowed us to share them into Decentraland, so you can also find all the assets into the Decentraland Builder. He has like, okay, I sponsor this, I want to build this, but I will also want everyone to be able to share our project and be useful. And so it has really been fun to be working on something like that. Sebastian, 100 points for you, man. Just
like
because
awesome dude.
he has been pushing the Decentraland development. Without him, we could never been able to do that much job inside the Decentraland. I'm really helpful and really thankful he have been supporting us, and also he have been supporting SuperRare and other artists into the scene. So he's, this is this guy who nobody knows about him, but he's helping a lot into the space. So 10 points for you, man.
Yeah, 100 points.
I'm
gonna start giving out points. That's the greatest thing I've ever heard. I'm just giving out points now. 100 points.
Yeah.
I don't know if Talk Sam built the building, but I know John's. I went and checked out the SuperRare building today, and I noticed Hakatao, when you walked in, they started talking, right? But then, which was cool, when I went to the other levels, I noticed it was different people. Does it start talking at different levels, like different artists? Or was it just that I just happened to time it perfectly? I'm just kind of wondering.
I think it's like an auto play. So like if you enter like a bubble, it'll play the recorded loop for.
Oh, okay.
So we pre-recorded a couple some
That's really
some
cool.
bits. Yeah.
I noticed on each level it kind of changed. There was them, and then like a robot voice of and then another one. And I was like, oh, okay, it changed per level. So that's kind of interesting because maybe it was explaining the artist per level, maybe, or I don't know. I thought it was interesting though.
No, yeah, I loved it. It's like it's so it's like if you are hanging out at a gallery or museum, like with one of the docents, and they can like tell you about the art, like it just makes it it's so much deeper. Versus just like looking at it being like, oh, that's pretty.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Can I put in some like constructive criticism, I guess?
Sure.
I don't think it has anything to do on your end. I think it's Decentraland's end. But I'm such a stickler when I'm looking at the art. I'd hate having yellow writing pop up in front of it.
Oh, dude, me too. Yeah, I don't know how to.
So
I don't know if there's a color change for that yet. Just from the SDK, knowing how to kick around in there a little bit. Daniel, you can probably tell me better. I don't think you can change that color, right? That's not like an option.
There's a distance control, just like on in the meta.
Okay, yeah.
It depends on how close you want to walk up to it. So I don't know if maybe HP or Toonpunk can look into the distance and maybe make it to where, if you're really interested, maybe make it within 2 whatever meters or whatever it is. Because I like to get a good shot or whatever, look at it, but you got that.
I was trying to do the same thing. I was trying to take screenshots.
No, hey, just so you guys know, when you hit U on your keypad now, it takes away the UI, and you probably wouldn't have those things. Was that?
Yeah. Sebastian told you about it, right?
Yeah, he told me the other day.
Fresh U.
Yeah,
that's actually really
fresh
new.
out the oven, man.
It's been implemented this week, so.
It was funny the other day when I was going over to that area. This is like a week ago, and the building you guys had the building up there, John, and I literally spawned inside your building, and I was locked inside because it wasn't open, you know. And I was like in a forbidden area. I was like, oh, I better check everything out before I leave, you know. It was funny.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it wasn't. There was nothing up just yet, and it's funny. I was out there the other day. Me and Alegria, we have a show that we do every Tuesday and Thursday called Dap World, and so I'm like walking around that area. He's involved with Pixel Chain, and so like that, like they have a building over there as well. It's like right next door, and so I'm sitting there, you know, standing on top of the building, and Toon walks up. He's like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Oh, you know, talking to Alegria, you know." And he's like, "Okay." But yeah, man. I mean, you know, if there's something to be found in Decentraland, I'm looking for. All of us are. It's so funny how like ridiculously on top of shit we are. Like when those COVID masks came out, y'all remember that? Like the COVID masks came out, and they were supposed to like go up for sale like the next morning, like at 6 a.m. or something like that, my time, right? And somebody in the Discord put up a picture 8 hours before that, and next thing you know, that area was flooded with people that were from, you know, from the Discord that are up, and we're buying them all out and shit. Like, we're just like, that's the culture. That's really the culture with us. You know, when we find something, we get all over, and then, you know, we want to be the first ones there almost for all things, pretty much. You know.
Yeah.
Can I ask you maybe a difference on maybe your feelings about crypto voxels and how Decentraland maybe is different for the artist or maybe yourself on how you represent the brand?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the big advantages in Decentraland is having like, you know, more control over how like the UI, you know, like for the building and like walls and stuff like that. I think that's like a big draw. I was also, I think I mentioned to Franky early on, like I also really like the avatar kind of onboarding. Like I feel like that's, you know, like there's not like a really good way to do that right now in crypto voxels. Like you can like go to OpenSea and get stuff for your avatar, but you kind of got to know that you can do that.
I was wearing boots on my face in crypto voxels for a while. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I walked in the world and I just got boots on my face. I was like, all right, I don't think that's where that goes exactly.
Yeah. One thing that they do have that's cool though is like just letting people like the voice talking. Like that was like the artists love to do like so we did the pre-recordings, which was, you know, awesome. And I think it would be really ideally if like you could have an opening, people could talk, and we could like record them and then have them stay there for like, if, you know, later on in the week people come back. That would be super cool. But,
see that. Yeah.
There's a lot of interest in being able to narrate.
Yeah. The one thing I would say, like, you know, from doing events like this, I know that I like the idea of proximity chat, but like proximity, like not. I don't like the idea of that going for too far. Because, you know, when you can hear everybody, then it's just kind of like a mumbled, you know, you got somebody's baby crying in the background, you got the dog barking, you got somebody else's dog barking, you know, that kind of thing. So, I know if on the side of doing events, I'd like it to be very short in distance, you know?
Yeah, or like even like maybe like permissioned by whoever owns the building or something. It's like, okay, you know, these 3 people can do voice chat because they're like, you know. Yeah,
that's how it is in Second Life. Like if you go to some areas are voice chat enabled, some areas are not, and it makes sense because if you're trying to hold an event and let's say you're trying to have music being played or something like that, you know, you're like, all right, man, I don't want to have.
The Discord chat works really good when you're in world and you're kind of in there at the same time. It's
okay, got it. Yeah, that could be a good way to do it. Also, I think, you know, like
kind of a bypass at this point for right now.
Yeah. Also, potentially just bring in people from Discord who might not know what's going on, you know, if they're not watching Twitter.
Yeah, I actually, I stream. I'm streaming this into the Gamers Hub Discord, and we've been doing a lot of that lately. Is this kind of like multi-streaming, because I think that's kind of like the way you're gonna get everybody's eyes. You know, you're not gonna get everybody to drop in world. And we were joking earlier about needing a supercomputer, in order to run Decentraland. You know, and it's not that exaggerated, but, you know, definitely takes a decent machine, you know. I think we all have that experience.
Is Aligurant throwing out some Matty in Discord right now while we're talking?
Yeah, he's throwing out Matty, man. It's raining, you know, here and there. showers, you know, small showers.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, what else?
I was going to say another thing to mitigate the baby crying is push to talk. I think that works really well.
Push to talk is good. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, push to talk in the early days of Xbox. You had to push a button in order to talk to everybody. And I think there was like an always on feature, and then there was a bunch of people talking shit the whole time, and so then you would have to mute everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But push to talk seemed to work really well. I think it could work really well in the metaverse too, but I think it's one of those things that you have to test out before you stake your flag in the ground, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think with the ownership of parcels too, like if you're in the SDK, you should be able to like allow it or not, just like John was saying. Like, you know, you can allow it or not. You know, you can integrate it into your SDK or not. You can blacklist certain wallets. You know, this guy's always with the bullshit. Off.
You can do it. We have done that. We have tried to just display audio in our parcel, and it actually works. I think. I'm not completely sure, okay, but I think Bike Engine already has that, where you have this music inside the game, and if you go out the parcel, it doesn't sound anymore.
Yeah.
And you can also isolate your parcel without hearing the rest of the parcel. So it can be done, but it's you have to do it.
A little bit extra coding, yeah. I haven't looked much into it just because I've been so busy with everything. I haven't really been too much into the SDK lately, you know, just because of how much I've been streaming and stuff like that. So I've been kind of leaving most of that up to the people who are, who dive deep into there. That's why I had reached out to that. What's up?
So you could use MP3 files, or not MP3, MP4 files for videos.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. We have a ton of MP4 on SuperRare.
Yeah. And that's another one I haven't got into.
Really much easier to use now.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah, I gotta take a look at that because I have what I heard from James. I spoke to James a while back about that subject. A while back, like a week ago, and he was talking about how it does take like a good strain on your server. So I don't want to overstrain the server that HP's been helping me, with. So I obviously like to do my live streams, and I think that so far so good with the live streams. I don't. Until we start the DNN, the news network, I don't really want to get into a 24-hour stream, of anything, whether static or not,
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things that I found interesting, and especially in the art community, is like how big it is, especially seeing it in Decentraland, because I think every server has a limit of, I think it's now 75 people, and like that day that we went. And Franky was interviewing, a bunch of the art group.
Yeah.
And like it was packed, and I couldn't even move. I mean, I have a pretty old computer, but I've never seen it lag that hard since.
It's so crazy. It's like we had Nate from Mintbase, and I'm like, last time we had Nate, it was in the beginning of Sound, and we had like this lag thing going on with the sound, just because like it was just like a miscommunication kind of. And I'm like, man, and then he comes into this event, and the event is so packed that now we're having a little like lag issues. I'm like, Nate, it's so much it's awesome most of the time,
Yeah.
It was so funny. He was super cool about it and super like chill, just like whatever. Everybody understands what's going on. That you're trying new stuff out.
I feel bad for those people jumping into Decentraland, having that kind of experience. It's like, why would you ever come back? And they don't even know that there's other servers, right? So, and they don't even know how to switch.
And then it's really hard to, and that's what I was saying about like it being Athena Amber, Fenrir Amber. These are words that I've never heard in my life. I'm not a computer guy. I'm not a Greek mythologist. I'm just some dude. 1, 2, blue, red. That'd have been good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's an explanation of why they use these Greek gods and all that, but I don't remember what it was. But there was a pretty funny explanation. But you're right. I mean, having it like that difficult to kind of switch realms, and at least as a first-time user. But I think they're working on it though, so it's going to get better. And one of the feedback I had for Decentraland, one of the realizations was they should include a waypoint whenever you click on a link to jump into Decentraland. And what that waypoint will do...
so you could choose the different server?
Well, not necessarily a different server, which is coming with the new map that they're going to implement. But the waypoint will help when you spawn into Decentraland and say like location 00, like we did for the art event. Then if the waypoint is set, then it will tell you, hey, go walk this way so you can go see, the event.
Oh, yeah.
Like you will see like either a huge arrow within the world or just like just a 3D directional arrow as a HUD display.
Yeah, like when you ping something in PUBG or something like that, it's like, boop, over there.
And then you can modify that waypoint. Like say for example that you spawn into some random location, you can modify that waypoint within the address bar, at least for now. And then you can use that waypoint as a group to direct a group for like a tour or whatever. So it just makes it easier. So we'll see if they get that implemented, but it shouldn't be too hard.
That's
when I landed in Genesis Plaza right in the middle, I didn't know which direction the auditorium was. I'm just like spinning circles. And I didn't, I don't land there every day, so you didn't know what direction to go essentially right away.
Yeah. So I think that waypoint would be helpful, especially if it's flexible to where anybody can use it.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, but we're getting there though. I feel like, even though whatever growing pains that we're going through, I like the fact that like I don't know, we're all kind of striving for this. It's like you're trying to do as much as you can with what we have, but at the same time, I mean, we should. I look at it like the way we look at I look at the games. Like I'm trying to break it every single time. Still to this day, the same thing we used to do with the beta test. Like break it. When we throw an event, I tell Matty all the time, like, let's break it. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's literally make it so it's hard to deal. And I know it's like maybe sometimes annoying on the user, but if you're trying to you're trying to progress a platform, break it every time.
Yeah.
I feel better about having 70 people than I care about having 70 people break the platform. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, whatever, we got 70 people in there. There's people who that's their gig is to fix that. My gig is to get 70 people in there.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. We actually with Tom Chaser we had some issues in the beginning, and like if you joined when the event started, we have like 70 people showing up at the same time, and it broke the Decentraland. I mean, I tried to join in, and people were. You had this screen with these robots like, oh, you cannot load the game now. So fuck yourself. Buy a better computer. Sorry.
Buy a better computer. For real. When Daniel, when I pulled up to Tomb Chaser this time, I text Boss. I'm like, hey, Boss, we're going to Unicorn Blue. Me and you. You know what I mean? Me and you, we're gonna be by ourselves. Unicorn Blue. Yeah, we did, and it still was tough. I don't know what was going on, but. I gave it one shot. I'm such a I gave it one shot. Didn't work. Oh well. I moved on and I started working on something with HP.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that. I actually try to push the boundaries every time we do something. Mm-hmm. One of the things we have with this new Tom Chaser is that the team. This is totally true, right? The team has better computers than me. So they were working on the game with top notch. They had like high standard, high quality, and they were sharing me screens like of the game where we were making it, and I was like, oh man, this look really awesome. This look fantastic.
Yeah.
And then I joined in with my crappy Mac Pro. And I was like, oh shit, this looks like bullshit, What the fuck are you doing? This doesn't look anything like the screen you're sharing. And I told them like, please lower down the basics, lower down your settings to basics so you can be with me and you can see what I'm seeing. And they did that, and when they done that, they told me like, oh, okay, I know what you're talking about that. And when they saw the difference between high standards and low basic settings, they understand like what we needed to do to provide a very good experience even if you try into basic settings. So for example, if you go to Tom Chaser and you go into high standard settings, you will have an amazing experience. But if you go into basic, the lowest settings you can do, you also will have a very good experience. It took us like a lot of time to figure out we were in two different kind of computer different settings. So you have to think about like, okay, I want to provide a very good experience for people who have like, you know, NASA computers, but I also want to provide a very good experience for people who have like crappy computers such as me. So these are different levels you have to try, and you have to go in the game and break it a couple of times. And the new SDK updates allows you to do new stuff, but at the same time, we are always trying to break the game, try to break the rules. And also, for example, if you joined when the event started, you will have a really bad, really awful experience. But if you join the next day when there was nobody, you have a really good experience because the game loaded completely fine.
That was the Christmas contest, man. Christmas contest day one. It was after everybody had gotten all those NFTs from the Halloween contest, and they was ready. 400 people was trying to get them shits, and then nobody could get it to work. So you had to come back another time, and I don't think I had the time, so I just didn't do it. Which I obviously missed out on some good prizes, but it's okay.
Yeah, Daniel, you bring up a good point. I mean, that's why it's a big deal whenever there's an update to the new Xbox and a new PlayStation, is because the minimum standards for computational requirements have increased. And so now all the developers get to make bigger and better looking games because that minimum standard has increased. And it's not the same for PCs, is that if you're making a PC game, you still have to think about the guy who's still running that 1998 compact Pentium 2 computer, and you wanna get that guy because you want him to be part of the market too. And obviously in some cases you can't make games for that computer, right? So, but you're right. It's like you have to design like almost two games, one for the minimum requirements and another one for like the top tier NASA computer.
Yeah, exactly. Our approach is like go for the highest ending place. So we have like completely okay with people who have NASA computers, and then we have to lower down so we can kind of fake it so it looks somehow similar to the NASA computer, but with the guy who's running a toaster but you have to think that we are in all of us. I think we are in countries we are actually highly developed and we have really good computers. But if we want to onboard people in India, for example, we need to develop games and develop experience that people in India can play, because they don't have. Maybe they want to have our computers, but they don't have the resources, or maybe they don't have people delivering them. And if you pay attention to mobile games or maybe League of Legends, you can play League of Legends in a toaster, right? And they invested a lot of money so that you can play League of Legends into a toaster. So we have to have the same mindset because we're making a Decentraland platform which can run in the US, right? But it can also run in Argentina, and it can also run in Colombia, and it can also run in India, and it can also run in Zimbabwe. And okay, if you have a really bad computer, you will not be able to jump in. But we have to think about developing games and experiences that a lot of people can join in, not just NASA computer people who spend a lot. Because also people who spend like 3,000 euros into a computer, they are going to hate Decentraland because the graphics is not really good, and they see the performance is really bad, even if they have a killer computer. So we have to think in the other opposite side of the flip coin, for people who don't have this amazing computer to join it. But
Yeah, I totally agree. It's going to be interesting.
After that, just sorry to interrupt. I just had
you're
a
good.
question for John. Actually, I didn't want to cut off Talk Sam. I just had a different.
Sure.
Sorry, I was just really interested because I read some today from Async telling the layers. I guess coding or protocol is an open source. Have you ever thought on SuperRare implementing the layers on artists, kind of how Josie and all them have, where us as buyers can own the layers on the art for SuperRare, mints?
Yeah, so we've talked about doing something like that. Like, it'd just be like an implementation thing. So I think like we've kind of we're thinking about it. Like we're a little bit hesitant. Like it makes it a little bit more confusing for new people. Like where it's like you're just buying a piece of art. You're like, okay, I buy this piece of art, and like I understand it. So thinking of like. We want to be careful about like the messaging. So just like, if we do add something like that, like want to have some time to like, like roll it out.
Open,
yeah.
Got it.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that would be possible.
Cool.
We're about to launch, it's top secret, but next week we're going to launch like a VR, like sculpture objects. So like, let's see what's.
Well, I saw it. It was in the Mozilla Hub the other day, and I saw him kind of playing around with that.
Yeah.
And we were flying around on. I don't know whose art it is. It's beautiful though, with the two people kind of hugging each other, kind of.
Oh yeah, I know the piece, but I forget which artist it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, we were in the world, and they were saying how you can implement that pretty much on the fly. It looked like it was really cool, and I was like,
yeah. I'm excited, and I think that'd be so cool. Like if you're like actually rendering the file in DCL, like you can walk around it like that. Yeah. Exactly. But so yeah, it's something we're thinking about, and like might do later this year, but it's not like immediately. Yeah.
I would appreciate it. As a player owner, I kind of like the aspect of it. So just
okay, cool. Yeah, that's awesome feedback. Actually, I got to jump off, guys, but if you have, other ideas and stuff, feel free to hit me up in Discord. It's great chatting with you guys. And
pleasure, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for streaming today, Frankie. That was fun.
Man. Anything you ever need, man, hit me up.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys.
Good job.
Yep.
bye.
Hey, Open, quick question. When you were talking about the layers, are you saying that potentially you could own layers to where you can mix and match different layers to create your own NFT art?
Yeah, so essentially, like, we'll put Josie as an example. She has a few of them, but I own a layer I own the back piece of one of her layers. Okay. So she has, it's called a dark and a day mode. So one is essentially black and has it's more of a darker aspect. One's a lighter aspect, more during the day, and it has graffiti on it.
Sure.
So other people, I think on the one I have, there's like 7 different layers. So there's essentially 7 different owners. There's someone who owns the whole piece, and then there's people who own each layer beyond that. And then you can change that layer essentially on the fly. So I could log in right now and change it up if I really wanted to. And then on the chain, essentially, it takes, I've noticed, about a day or so, but it'll show up on whatever art they're displaying the actual NFT at. We'll change, that display will change.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I like that because, I mean, if you think about it in the metaverse, I mean, things like this should be possible. You couldn't do this in real life. I mean, technically you could, but it wouldn't be the same, right?
Well, I don't see why not. I mean, I guess if you implement, I think Chainlink is implementing things that we talked about before, is where in the coding they're going to be able to do real world kind of thinking, or how do you want to put it, like implementations on the actual instant that's happening. So I think there's an artist, and I forgot his name, but it's awesome, where it shows essentially a dollar bill of some type or a fiat bill, but it's the Bitcoin reference of it, and then as the Bitcoin kind of changes price and the algorithm grows and expands, it changes the picture of it.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah. So yeah, it's insane.
Like algorithm art.
That's wild.
Absolutely. I thought it was super intriguing. So I'm gonna dive more into it. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, if you find it, definitely share a link because I want to learn more about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that goes to like almost like what we would, like I said, like more like this. I guess my thing would be like a more simple version of what I did with Cryptonaut, the whole gas price thing. But it's just the idea that something updates, in world, real time, like that can definitely be done.
Yeah, that's a cool concept.
Talk Sam's smart enough. I'm sure he could figure out some.
I don't want to spoil the match, but we're trying to have this 7-layer stuff thinking into avatar makings. As you know, we're now working on a new NFT project called Crypto Avatars, which is the thing that I've been a character artist for a long time, and it's like my jam. So we're trying to push forward into that with Crypto Avatars, and we have been thinking about different layers of how can we separate an NFT of one avatar into different layers, and how we can bring different artists to work do collaborations within an avatar. But that's that's something we want to do, but it's not in the short-term things. But that's definitely something we want to do, and that's something definitely we are going to push forward, because I think when you think about an avatar, maybe I do the guy, I do the mesh, and then this guy goes and do the animations, and this completely different person, and this other guy goes and does the textures. I don't know. So we're trying to think of ways where we can layer out this stuff, so we can make collaboration between artists and avatars. But that's long ago. That's going to be nowhere near in the timeline. It's maybe 6 months, 8 months, 10 months down the line.
Do you use motion capture for your animations for those avatars?
No, we're using Mixamo, which is completely free tool for rigging. You can actually take Mixamo rigging and use motion capture. We have done that with some clients who want to keep record themselves. The cool thing about Mixamo is that it's already thought for humanoids rigging, so anybody can use it. That's the way to go. We want to try to use the standards that everyone is using, so we don't have like completely, proprietary stuff that breaks everything. Sure.
Yeah, because I thought you were hand rigging everything, and I know how much work that takes. So.
No, definitely not. If I had to rig everything and animate everything every day for 100 days, I would be only doing that. It takes me around 2 hours to make an avatar, 3 hours maybe. The day I spent the most with it was for like 5 hours or so. So it takes a lot of time already for me. And then I hand it to another person in the team who is the guy who's making the videos and posting on every platform. Mm-hmm. And it already takes a lot of time. So if I had to rig it and animate it, it would be like time consuming.
You want a lot more than 100 points, huh, Tux?
Yes.
I'm gonna need 1,000 points for that. Kidding me?
Oh man, it's really good to see everyone working on
platform.
Sorry?
Are they going to be cross-platform, like essentially from other verses?
Yes, that's the point. In the very beginning, they are going to be available into VRChat. That's our main goal platform, because we have already done stuff into VRChat. We have an audience there. We have people who is making content out of the avatars we made the last round, because around a month ago or almost 2 months ago, we released them as open source avatars, so anybody can do whatever the fuck they want with them. They can even sell them, so we have been having a lot of people using them for content. So VRChat is our main goal. After that, we will push forward for Somnium Space. After that, we will push forward for Neos VR. and my goal is to start talking to see if we can implement them also into Decentraland, CryptoVoxels, some new sandbox, whatever. We are using an open standard file format called VRM, which is not proprietary. It's not like FEX. FEX is proprietary of Autodesk. So we're trying to use something that anybody can use them for the platform. So that's my goal. My goal is so you buy the avatar and you keep your avatar regardless the platform you're on. You're not tied to the platform needs or, that's my main goal. I know there's a lot of work on that. There's going to be a lot of politics, I guess, into, kind of convincing people to implement the avatars into the platforms, but I think it's going to bring a lot of value because there are already a lot of great artists doing avatars for VR chat, and these artists are looking forward to do art, to be able to do avatars into different platforms, not just one platform.
So that means you have to build an avatar with the limitations of each platform, right? Like, for example, I guess in Sandbox, you can't really manipulate the avatar, or can you? But even if you could, yeah, you would have to design an avatar with the spirit of the platform, right? I mean,
yeah.
Otherwise, it wouldn't look right.
Yeah, the thing is, we're trying to find the limitations within VR chat are already really good. Not for VR chat. VR chat has two different kind of limitations. You have Quest limitations, and you have PC limitations. PC limitations are whatever you fucking want. It doesn't matter. You don't have like hard limits or anything. But at the same time, if you don't have any limits, not everybody is going to be able to see your avatar.
That's right.
So we are pushing for Quest limitations. We have like hard limits, like you cannot use more than 5,000 triangles. You cannot use a lot of materials. So that's our main goal for now. That any Quest user can use our avatars on VR chat, and if Quest users can use that, probably some new space users will be using that, and probably other platforms will be using that. So that's our standard limitations thinking when making these avatars. As you mentioned, different platforms have different aesthetics, right? Sandbox will be voxels, and Decentraland is going to be low poly for a while, and but it doesn't really matter because a lot of people like anime, for example, and they want to use their anime avatar even if they're in Sandbox, or even if they're in Decentraland, or even if they are in whatever reason or whatever platform. They just want to use that because they maybe they paid $300 for using the avatar, so they want to be able to use them on whatever platform they're in. They don't really care if they fit into the platform or if they fit into the space. It's their representation of themselves. Is they feel it as their identity. They want to keep it regardless of the platform they're using. So that's what we want to provide. We want to provide like a place where you can mint and buy and sell avatars that you can use in different platforms regardless the aesthetics or whatever.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
The chain link of avatars.
Yeah.
Avatar link. 100 points.
Yeah.
You like it, right?
Yeah, because I wonder if like there's any technical limitations. Like if you were to do like an anime avatar for CryptoVoxels, like I wonder if there's like some hard limitations that your avatar has to be a specific way. Like you couldn't do anime avatars for whatever reason. I'm not too familiar with that platform yet, but
I mean, they would just be
that would be
boxes,
very valuable though.
I don't think the limitations will be in the style itself.
Okay.
The limitation will be in the way the person made the avatar. you can be. The thing is, you have to make them optimized, regardless of platform, right? So that's the thing we're trying to teach. We know with crypto avatars, one of the things we want to do is have a whitelist. Where only people we have proof that they know how to optimize avatars, they can mint them. So we are going to be not a style limitation, because you can do whatever style you want, but you have to know already, you have to prove that you have the technical knowledge to do optimized avatars, because there are a lot of people in VR chat who make amazing avatars, but almost nobody can see them, because they use thousands of polygons, and they also drop a lot of materials, and so we have to want to provide some kind of certificate where you prove that I'm a guy who knows how to do optimized avatars.
Sure.
And that's what other platforms are going to be able to do, that because WebGL platforms such as VRChat, such as Decentraland or CryptoVoxels, they need optimized models so you can use them in the world, right? You cannot just throw there 100,000 polygons platform, avatar.
Question real quick, Toxam, that I think maybe Red Nitrous wants to know.
Yes, sure.
About what do you think about the whole timing situation on the game the other day?
Okay, we already talked about this.
We give that a little touch.
So it's out there, and so that way the community knows maybe if it, like you said, it was a bug and just kind of got to get fixed or whatever.
Okay, so the thing is, it's really difficult to have a proper leaderboard into Decentraland right now, because basically you can hack the code really easy. I don't really know how to do it myself, okay? But I know someone who has the skills and the motivation to do it, they will definitely do that, right? So it was a situation where this guy, in the very first day, he got 29 seconds, right? And we were like, all the weekend, I was like, this guy cheated. Definitely he cheated, it was really difficult to do this. We have tried in different ways in the team. All the team tried it, and none of us done it in less than 31 seconds. It was really difficult. We had this idea that he cheated, right? And then Red Nexus comes and says, hey, I just beat it, the guy who was in the first ride. And I was like, oh shit. So this guy made it, even if this guy was so dedicated to the game that he actually surpassed the cheating guy, and that made us think like, this guy actually cheated, or he exploited the game and made it in the time because it was our fault, because Decentraland loaded really bad into his computer.
By all means, I wasn't implying anything. I thought it was a good way how you responded to Red, saying, hey, if he did cheat, cool, we know about it. If not, hey, he found the fastest way, right? So, this isn't to talk shit or anything by any means. It's just I thought it was a way to put it out there.
And Red recorded his run too.
It's almost impossible to really know what happened there. We're thinking of ways where we can control and see how people can actually not cheat into the game, because now we're in a point with Tom Chaser where we want to every 2 weeks have a different maze inside the Egyptian theme or inside the Asian theme. But with this problem, we cannot do that, because we have to be very sure that people is actually not cheating, because I know people like
that's the big trouble with having Will can attest to this, having a competitive game inside a platform that's being built, because normally a competitive game is already on a platform that's set up for said competitive game. You got an ever-changing platform, and then you got to have a constant in order to have a competitive gaming, you know, situation built on it. So it's been, you know, that's been a trouble with that. You know, of course we're in the beginning stages, and you know, you want to be first in anything. So being first in a competitive gaming platform, that's things you run into. I run into frozen screens. I run into all kinds of things on my end as well. It's not like, you know, there's no one problem. It's like, you know, it's that break it mentality. Like, go ahead and break it, you know, because, you know, this is how we're going to figure it all out. The problem with competitive gaming is you're going to have the most, the people with the most invested, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if my screen freezes and they can still hear my audio, you know? But, man, if the game, you know, because the person is just playing is going to be like, the game fucked me. You know what I mean? And you own the game, you're the one. You know what I mean? And you know, hey, you know, you got to just give out 100 points all over the board and be like, all right, guys, you guys all get 100 points. You know?
Yeah. That's true. Not only that, I think, Daniel, I think you were part of the victims of the Decentraland update. I think the day they started the competition, or you started the competition for Tomb Chaser, the day before, I think Decentraland made that update and broke a lot of the materials. And I think many people that loaded in, they saw an entire pyramid all completely glitched out, just because I think the materials were off.
Like this. It was like the wrong way.
Yeah, they're all lines. Yeah, they're all painted.
Actually, that's our fault. We have our own loading system into Decentraland, which is faster than Decentraland itself.
Okay.
So what it does is like loads everything, and when it's loaded, it positions it completely fine.
I see.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
It's a bit faster than Decentraland itself, so that's our fault. But yes, we're always fucked with you know, updates with Decentraland, because maybe one day you have this working correctly, and the next day it's not working, or maybe it's working on local, but when you deploy it's not working, or maybe it's not working on local, but when you deploy it's working. So you have all this.
You know, and this is both a good and a bad problem. I mean, it's bad in the sense in like real time that you have to go and fix stuff, but it's also good that you know that the platform is continuously improving, right? That's why they're doing updates, right? And
yeah, definitely. That's not a complaint. We know we're all the people who is sitting here, right, is in their very early beginnings in the Decentraland. And the fact that we can do tournaments, small tournaments of Tomb Chaser is already a really good thing. We're blown away that more than 100 people showed up for the event, so it's way better than the last time. Last time I think we were like 25 people. You know, it's been crazy, and we hope in the next future events of Tomb Chaser we can provide better plays, you know, better lonely places, you know, more smooth, you know, experience. But at the same time, we are tied to the Decentraland limitations, which is a pain in the ass. But you know, it's really good. I mean, we're still experimenting. I'm actually surprised that people is investing a lot of time into trying to beat our game, you know, because it's like, you know, it's really, how to explain it. I get tired myself of playing, you know, and I'm making the game and I play a lot of it just to try it. It blows my mind that there's people who is even spending more time than I'm doing to.
But you know, I think you need those people. You know, the Red Nitruses, the Crypto Joes. You know, those people that are gonna, you know, because they're the ones that are gonna find the thing that you would have never found. You play it 2 times, 3 times. You know, man, it runs good, looking good. I'm feeling good about that. 100 points to me. I'm out of here. You know, but you know, Red Nitrous is gonna go up in there and he's gonna try to like beat his own score. You know, he's not even going against you no more. He's like, man, if I got 1,300, I want 1,600. You know. And you know, we need those.
Yeah.
We need those people.
That's
crazy.
That's the thing we wanted with Tomb Chaser from the early beginnings. Tomb Chaser is inspired by Legend of Zelda mini game inside the game, where you have to run for a ghost. You have to follow this ghost with the limit time. So it was heavily inspired by that concept, right? And we knew that in Decentraland we could do that. So that's the thing we wanted, right? Where you were like, oh man, this guy just beat me for 1 second. I'm going to try again and over and over and over again so I can beat him up. So I'm actually happy that it worked out, because I didn't thought that people would spend that time trying to beat other people. So I'm really happy it worked out. I'm looking forward to see how we can manage to not allowing cheaters into the game. Also, or they.
But cheaters are inherent. That's going to come with it. I mean, as long as there's a game, there's going to be people trying to cheat it. Like if any computer game, specifically anything on a computer, because dudes, they know how to code, they know all this stuff. Like I play a lot of Xbox, right? My friends will be like, they don't even want to play a computer version of an Xbox game because they're like, man, listen, there's gonna be somebody out there with like an auto aim thing, and they just in there clicking the button, they shooting you down, and it makes it no fun. But to that person, they're having the time of their life, So it is what it is. It's one of those things, you take it with a grain of salt, I think,
Yeah.
Built the territory.
Exactly. Yeah. I like how well you guys have like thick skin for that. Like Dapcraft was getting it times 20, during their launch, and you were like, hey man, welcome to our world. You know what I'm saying? Like we experienced that when we dropped MetaZone, when we dropped every single meta that has ever came out in history. So it is what it is. Speaking of that, what's up with Ethermon? Is that out yet? Is that going?
So already a few people have received their Cobras NFTs, and so by the end of this weekend, almost all of them will receive their Cobras NFTs. And I think I'm going to talk to both Open NFT and maybe one more on deploying it kind of early, so we can make sure everything is deployed correctly.
Nice.
And so next week, everybody should be able to deploy their Ethermon metas and get that going.
Nice.
One of the things that we do think about pretty often is like the interoperability of something like this. And I'm thinking that if you have a Cobras NFT, I mean, we had to develop a 3D model for it and then animate and all that stuff. So if let's say we were trying to deploy this in CryptoVoxels, what would he look like? And we're thinking we're going to have to remodel it and then probably potentially re-rig it and reanimate it. And then you could deploy that in CryptoVoxels potentially. So that's why I was asking you, Daniel, about how you're doing your avatars. Like, how do you make it interoperable, and do you have to, redraw this whole thing, redo it, So that's like one of the things that we're always thinking about. But as far as Decentraland goes, I think this game provides like this interesting confirmation of this circular reinforcement that we keep talking about. When in Decentraland, there's like the trilemma, right? There's the developers, there's the landowners, and then there are players. And each of them have their own specific problem within Decentraland that all of us are trying to solve. And I think with Ethermon, it actually solves the full circle in the sense that landowners get to participate in the game and be the platform of the game by providing food and seeds and items and stuff for the players. And the players can participate by getting their own Ethermon and participating and playing that game within Decentraland on the landowners who have deployed these metas. And so I think it's going to be an interesting thing, because we're going to see a lot of this pop up more in Decentraland, like Wonder Zone. They have their own mining game, and in that game, eventually they'll be able to, rain down meteors in different parts in Decentraland.
The world.
You'll have to go and travel around and collect all the minerals, right, that you can get from the meteors.
So during this time, we'll say when we deployed on our lands, right, all of us hosts, and then people want to come and actually feed the Ethermon. During this time between the feeding time and the battle, I guess, phase, when that's all implemented, are they able to upgrade their Ethermon, or you know what I mean? Or is it all going to hold steady during that time?
Oh, absolutely. So part of the game is about experience points. If you guys have played World of Warcraft or any RPG game, it's about progression. And in this game, you're gonna gain experience points by interacting with your pet, with your Ethermon, and by doing that interaction, you're gaining experience points, and you eventually have the potential to evolve. And you got to remember, these are NFTs, you know, ERC 721s. So your Cobras is not the same as my Cobras. So you might have better attributes for a battle game than my Cobras. And so on top of that, by gaining experience points, it's like proof of work in the sense that you have to play the game in order to gain experience. And the more experience you gain, the more levels you have, the more value that it's worth in the open market. And so you could be, you know, the guy like Red Nitrous or Crypto Joe who's leveling up their Ethermon, and you can flip it on OpenSea and, you know, make some money by doing this. And so between now and to like the ultimate form of the game where you are battling for pink slips, if you will, where you can stake your Ethermon and battle them out, and the winner takes your Ethermon, you'll be able to do all kinds of stuff in Decentraland. So we're setting up this game as really a very, very long-term game, and the first two metas that we release really set the foundation and platform for this game. So it's a long progress because something like this hasn't been done before. This game requires landowners to buy in. If no landowners buy in, then there isn't a game. And so we have to design every single thing in step line with the landowners, because if that doesn't happen, then it's hard to deploy something like this.
Are there people that can bring in Ethermon that have already been
absolutely
in battle and whatnot, you know, essentially as an experienced Ethermon into Decentraland?
So that's another thing that we're trying to figure out in terms of balance. Like, I don't know if it makes sense, and you guys can provide some feedback here on the idea that if you already have an Ethermon that's like battle tested and has experience points already, should you be able to bring that into Decentraland as is? Or should there be two separate worlds, like two separate universes where an Ethermon, you know, on the website is completely different than the Ethermon in Decentraland? Like, what is your guys'
think so. If you ask me, somebody with games and shit, because we're just a platform. It's not like we're, you know, it shouldn't be a whole different game to me. You know,
it should be
the interoperability, you know what I'm talking about. And you know, that's going to be more attractive than be like, oh well, you know, I start from scratch now, so now I don't know the platform and I start from scratch. You know,
might incentivize the DCL guys to really get up on it, right? Like,
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And also, you know, that's going to incentivize you guys and those guys to make all the other Ethermons work as well, which I think is the, you know, if you're going to really want the game to work, I mean, it's really going to, you don't want to have all the Ethermons. You're not going to want to have 1, 6, 12. You don't want to have all of them.
That's true. And so on top of the Cobras for this meta, is if you already have a Chiari, then you'll be able to spawn Chiari in Decentraland. Okay. But you have to already have that NFT to spawn it.
Is that one of the originals? Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's one of the originals. And so your guys, so what you're saying is, if you already have leveled up your Ethermon, you should be able to jump into Decentraland and see that leveled up Ethermon.
Yeah, and you gotta wipe everybody else. Whatever.
Is it hard enough to
the things cost money?
In the certain leagues though, right? Like, is that back end on DCL going to group you with who you should be grouped with, right? Like,
so what do you mean?
Well, I haven't really played too much Ethermon, but I'm just going off the other card games that I played. Like, say Splinterlands, you're in certain leagues on the amount of points that you've acquired through your battles. So they're not going to group you with a bronze guy.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Diamond,
some sort of matchmaking system.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yep. So let's say, like, if you're a veteran Ethermon player and you bring in your NFTs into Decentraland, I, as a rookie, may not be able to battle you until I gain up to that level.
Absolutely.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So there's a way to delegate those ranks, I guess, however you want to put it.
This is good information, because, you know, we were thinking, I was like, do we need to separate the two universes? But if I don't know if it makes sense, like, from the expectation that if you already own these Ethermon and they've been leveled up and they have experience, I would expect that I could transfer all these abilities to the different worlds if they get supported. And in this case, in this case, it makes sense.
I think it's me. Say if I was coming from the total outside, like you said, I'd almost be disappointed if I couldn't, right? Because you're like, oh, is this a different brand essentially?
Sure.
Like, you know, is this Decentraland Ethermon or is this Ethermon? Like, what are we dealing with here? So,
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so I'll definitely relay that back because it's still up in the air, like what we should do. But you're right. I think it makes the most sense to port the same functionality you have elsewhere into Decentraland, just because it's what you would expect. I mean, that's sort of the point of NFTs in a sense.
Imagine if you could bring Ethermon into Somnia Space, for example. You will want to have also the progress you made in Decentraland brought into Somnia Space or Sandbox or whatever, right?
Yeah. So here's another question in relation to that is, let's say there's two actions. One action that's performed on the website so you can level up your Ethermon, and then another action is performed in Decentraland. If one action is easier or cheaper or something on one side versus the other, doesn't that de-incentivize you to be in Decentraland, for example, to level up your Ethermon if you could just go do it on a website?
Nah, because it'd be a different experience. Just like the Axie guys, they love seeing the Axies on Matty's land. We just gave out a 3D Axie as a prize. There's no game involved even. They just like seeing it, you know, and it brings interest to people coming into Decentraland. So, in my opinion, no.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, because the way that we see it right now is like there's more flexibility in the Decentraland version of Ethermon, in the sense that you can take care of your pet. You couldn't do that on a website because it's just a picture, right? Yeah. And so
it might be more accessible on like, you know, like if I don't know if they have a phone app. I think they do, right? Well,
I don't think so. So.
Well, let's say it's more accessible on the website, but the experience of having it walk next to you, bringing it to go feed, you know, that's a whole different experience, you know. Yeah. So in my opinion, like it'd be like, and then they're already in Decentraland, they can go check other things out. You know, I think that, you know, there's a value in that by itself.
You're right. Part of the design of the game is to keep people in Decentraland and have them like explore Decentraland. That way, the more people in Decentraland, it benefits everybody.
But you don't want to be handcuffing somebody like you have to stay here. You know, that's not what I don't think that's what anybody really was trying to get at. Because then, I don't know. Because then think about if you're a person that you spend all these hours doing it in this side, especially if you were early. You spend all these hours doing it on this side, and then you come over here and you're like, oh wow, cool, I got to start from scratch. You know.
Well, so there's added elements to this. What you can do in Decentraland, you can't do on the website. So it's not necessarily a port from the website to Decentraland. It's more of like there's just a different experience. So that's.
I mean, I guess like, then it would probably play out like a different platform. Like if you had a Game Boy Advance version of the game, but then the new platform comes out that's more.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and then you'd be like, all right, well now this is an N64 version. You know, if we're going back in the day. You know,
right now you can feed.
Exactly.
And, you know, so that's like kind of the struggle with like interoperability is like with different platforms they allow different capabilities. Yeah. And it's hard to have that same expectations in terms of like progression from one world to the next. Mm-hmm. And so those are the things that we're struggling with, but it's really up to the community. It's like, what do you expect? What do you want? Here's the gameplay mechanics that this is how the game will operate in Decentraland. Mm-hmm. What should happen in this scenario? Yeah. And so this is going to be a very important and interesting experiment for everybody, because this is kind of new for metaverses, really.
It might be a good onboarding, because you might get some Ethermon guys that are very experienced come into DCL, right? And totally decimate everybody. But at the same time, you're getting them in here where they never would even experience this world ever. So it's kind of a catch-22, right? So I think it's good. I say keep it open, and I think maybe in the end you're going to hit some roadblocks as far as, like you said, the implementation between the two.
Sure.
But you're going to hit those roadblocks and know what to focus on next. Kind of how you said your proof of concept or proof of product was, right? Like, you know what's shitty now, so you're like, we don't focus on it as much. kind of what do we need to focus on now type
Oh,
thing.
absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. Having the minimal viable product approach is the best approach. I mean, Daniel knows this too. It's like you want to build enough to where you can actually display it and make it work and have people try it. But you don't want to build it too far to the sense where maybe you build all these features and nobody plays with it, nobody uses it, nobody does anything with it, and it's like you wasted all that energy and time and money.
Exactly.
So now making this game in like this in these steps will allow us to stay flexible without spending too many resources on one thing that may not work.
Yeah, 100%. I think you should always just start something and then keep reiterating it based on feedback and community momentum. If you're seeing growing players and interests, you don't want to go too hard at the start. Obviously, it's a lot of resources and time.
Definitely that. Yep.
Let's jump to Critfest. We've been running an Axie tournament. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up. Those that aren't doing much Axie stuff, but Franky, that's been going pretty good, hasn't it?
It's been going real good. We got a lot of momentum from the Axie community. We got a lot of support from the Axie community. Axie Infinity themselves, the team, they've been liking what we're doing, and so our event's been pretty exciting. So essentially what we did was we all kind of linked up, me, Matty, Alegria, Chief, who runs Axie GG, and we all just kind of decided, wanted to throw some sort of large event. And then we decided on a team guild tournament. So it's like DCLCore, which is Matty and Anorak, and Black Star, Indigo. I don't know if you guys got a couple other people that play on your team. But it's all the people who represent DCL. And then my guys are the Pixel Busters. And those are a bunch of my friends who I got into playing Axie. And then Axie GG, which is I believe the original guild. And then Levox, and Levox is like a high level team. They win a lot of events. And so we got the 4 teams together and said, hey, we're gonna go put together the structure of like 3-on-3 guild battles. And we wanted to kind of like set up these mini battles. I don't think we were sure it was going to work out. And week 1 went off just crazy good. And then week 2 just happened. That went really well. Week 3 is coming up on the mini battles. And now we're putting together the event itself. And the event itself is going to have performances. I'm going to have Vandal perform from Dow Records. I'm going to have possibly even the Metaverse 2020 guys, depending on if I can find room for them in there. And then we're going to have a DJ do either before and after party or just after party. I'm not sure. The homie Golden Child. So we really found like a way to make this like a whole entertainment event and not just like a battle. It's just starting to become a thing. Like I said, it's almost like separate from all the other things that they're doing within their own community. We're just like doing this separate thing, and we're gonna be broadcasting in Decentraland, in the Gamers Hub Discord, and in Crypto Voxels all at the same time. So this is gonna be a pretty big event, I think, for everybody in the space, not necessarily just Axie because it's a game,
When's the next event?
Next Thursday, at 12 o'clock Eastern, which is 4 p.m. UTC. 4 p.m. UTC,
yep.
Yeah, and Matty's got this Axie Infinity build that he built, and it's got these 3D Axies, and it has this kind of like Axie looking world kind of thing. We threw a screen up. He's got these really cool things with all the cards on them, and it shows you kind of every single card, and has like the description up there. So it's been, like I said, I think people have really been impressed by the build itself, the way we've been able to create excitement around it. And and I just today I did a 6-hour stream with Chief, the Tournament of Champions, and I commentated that, and I found myself like commentating Axie stuff now, so it's really going well, really going well. Yeah, a
lot of work, man. How do you are you drinking caffeine all day or what?
The Ryan Seacrest
in the morning, beer at night. Just keeping that flowing. Rinse, repeat. You know what I mean? For real.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going really well. And again, I'm finding that this kind of platform of competitive gaming is something that people are really kind of like drawn to, and they really get behind it. You know, they've been getting behind me. You know, even like I said, some of the team members from Axie itself. So I think it's going to be good for the whole space. Like, yes, we're trying to like push Axie, we're trying to push DCL, we're trying to push CryptoVoxels, but like honestly, it's just like good for the all around space. I think everybody can get behind this. We're going to be doing one of those WIP events, work in progress, in CryptoVoxels. They get a lot of traction, and so me and Alegria are going to go in there and you know, say a couple words about what our event is, and you know, create some more buzz around it. So it seems to just be its own beast right now, and you know, things like this I think are going to be good for the space, like events that have like an entertainment value, you know, whether it's competitive gaming or parties or a combination of the two. It's like, yeah, you want to make something entertaining, you know.
Hey, what are your guys' opinion on bringing Axie's gameplay within Decentraland, like in 3D? Like,
I'm not sure if I don't know if that's something, because they've got their own land game coming up. Mm-hmm. But they Jihaz was saying that they're working on a build, or possibly working on a build in Decentraland. So I think they're open to something. I think more if we can find a way to integrate Matic and the breeding process, I think that would bring a whole bunch of people into Decentraland. If you could do your breeding process, X out a bunch of the gas fees, things could be real different for everybody in Axie. I know that.
So the breeding process requires, I guess, 2 Axies and then some money.
Yeah. So it's like small transaction fees, but it's like more than that in gas fees. So, you know, I've been breeding a whole bunch for my team lately, and it's costing me quite a bit of money. And if I was to, let's say, be able to like Matic those fees, I really don't have them too much. I think that could be a whole different situation for. And I'm just saying something, like I don't know the ins and outs of it, you know. It's just one of those things where I'm saying, like, yeah, if we could figure that out, like if we could have a breeding station in Decentraland, you're gonna find a lot of brand new people coming in there for sure.
Right.
But would Matic need to integrate? Would Axie need to integrate Matic for us to do it?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think so though. I think that if we had it in Decentraland, I don't believe that they would have to integrate it for their.
It goes through their contract or whatever, doesn't it? Or,
yeah,
I don't know.
they would have to implement it because of
maybe they would. I don't know. Again, I don't really know. You know, but I think that if you could find a way to, that would be my idea about like integrating Decentraland and Axie. I wouldn't say like let's do a 3D version of that game. I would say if we could have a breeding area, you know.
Oh, a 3D version of the game would be sick, but
I know it'd be sick, but I think that'd be like a huge undertaking in the game's in alpha. So you talk about like, you know, recreating, and they have a land game coming. So why would they do that? You know?
Yeah, but they don't have to do it, right? We can do it, or would they have to do it?
I think they'd have to do it, but
we make fun games. I'm sure they'd have. We can render our own Axies.
We can render our own Axies, but I mean, at some point, it's like, you know,
because you want the battles to like count. Right, you don't want them to like. You don't want to create your own battle system where it's like doesn't really count. You want them to.
True. But you can make we can make mini games, right? Like we don't have to make a full-on Axie game. Obviously, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, as long as honestly, whatever we do, it should be in line with whatever they want. You wouldn't want to just start doing like that's too much. That's going way over the top. I mean, that's like me making a Tomb Chaser game on my platform and not talking to Daniel about it. On my land, I should say. Yeah,
but then that's a question of who owns the NFT and the artwork, right? Like, what's the ownership model there?
I mean, owning the Axie, but not owning the game.
I'm going to do it. I'm just saying, where do we draw the line with decentralization? That's an interesting topic, in the sense of
copyright. That's what we talked to Clark about a lot. You know, about copyright. Like at some point, it's like it's stealing. You know.
But
right now,
one thing that you could do actually, in Decentraland would be like 2.5 dimensions game of actually battles. Like I have like Paper Mario. Maybe you don't have play Paper Mario. Okay, so Paper Mario is 3D worlds, but the player is 2D. So maybe you can do that into Decentraland, where you see you see, like Yu-Gi-Oh battles where you see one guy one side of the other, and you see the Axis Infinity. Instead of watching in 2D, you see them in 3D, but they are sprites and they can fight, and it's like a simulation of the 2D but in 3D.
Yeah,
that's one thing that will be really cool to do.
Yeah, the one thing I would say about it is it's literally a product that's in alpha, and they're having their own growing pains. So I would doubt that would be something but I don't know, because if they're looking for land in Decentraland, I know they want to do something, so.
That could be awesome. I mean, I picture a lot of games will be like Yu-Gi-Oh style, right? Where you place your cards, or where you make your movements and you see in a 3D world or a 3D environment battles going on, or the chains or whatever. And I see Axie Infinity is doing something similar.
Fits that bill. Yeah.
Maybe not 3D, it's not necessarily 3D, but something like Paper Mario style will be it will be really amazing for what Decentraland can offer these days. So something like that.
I was thinking like maybe they could build an arena where if you have your axes, the three that you battle with, you just walk into the arena, and maybe somebody else wants to battle you, and so there'd be two people in this arena, and then you would see a 3-on-3 in sprite form battle each other.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That'd be reasonably doable.
So we're not playing the game in Decentraland, we're kind of watching it in 3D. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, technically, you could play it. You could play it in Decentraland if it's built that way. But obviously, the Axie team would have to do that.
Yeah. But there's so many things you can do in Decentraland. I think we've just scratched the surface. For example, we can watch the games in video. I think we can even maybe buy canvas art maybe from. You can make some sort of a customization tool where people can put their Axie on a print, on a T-shirt, and maybe buy it straight within Decentraland on maybe an avatar or even in the real life. Or there's all these applications that we can do that I don't think we've really thought about yet.
Yeah.
So, even with the cup, with this Critfest thing, we can even have like a 3D cup being the award for it, and then have a 3D displayed in the land.
Yeah, and you bring up a good question, like a good thought experiment, Matty, in the sense that, I mean, if we own these NFTs, and I mean, we could pretty much build anything that we want, and we can have them do anything that we want as long as we have the NFTs. It's really up to us to build it, and that's really where the problem is. Like, do we have the resources?
Yeah, the only reason I brought it up was just to question. I'm obviously not going to go ahead and make like an Axie game, but it's an interesting thought to see the NFT ownerships. What do you actually own? Because you own the NFT, do you own the artwork for it? You can't make offshoot of the artwork, but can you make it 3D rendered?
Listen to
version of it.
Interview that I did with him on how he went over that, on how essentially you don't own the actual NFT. You don't own any of the metadata, essentially.
So then what do you own?
The rights to use it in...
The rights, I guess, to just say you have it in your wallet. I mean, yeah, it's not much. I don't know. I want to talk to him again and pick his brain even more, because if you listen to the last video I did, it was...
Sorry, who was it?
Jimmy from Avastars.
Oh, right, yeah, I saw that. I just saw you did that, but I haven't watched it yet, man.
Yeah, he dove into like the whole mythology of what we're all thinking an NFT is and what it should be, I guess. So that's a whole another discussion.
Oh, I know the NFTs isn't much. It's basically text and maybe a JPEG or a GIF or a PNG, and that's about it.
Yeah.
It's really up to you to decide what to do with the NFT if you do anything with it.
He was implying all the metadata behind it to actually own what the creation of it is, right? And then having it on, say, Airweave or Arweave, however you want to pronounce it, to where it's actually implemented there. So if you wanted to render it again, you'd have it. You don't have to rely on a third person to actually implement that for you.
I gotta watch this interview. I haven't watched it.
It's really interesting. So we definitely get him. Sorry, Tuxan.
No. I just say that I want to watch it too because I'm really interested into R-Wave. I'm really interested into what Jim is working on. From what I know, he's like a super tech savvy guy who wants to have everything correctly done since the very early beginning, even if it's difficult. So I'm really looking forward to see that.
Yeah, he made my mind expand quite a bit on this whole topic. So it was cool.
So with his NFTs, so Avastars, for example, they're all stored on chain, right? So do we own the rights to do something with that, like with that artwork? Can we
own commercial rights to it? Not business wise, essentially. I guess that's a huge gray line, right? But you do own the rights to it. Yes, you can print on a T-shirt. You can use it as your avatar. You can use it as a digital representation of yourself, and you do own the actual rendering and the metadata behind it.
Okay.
And again, I want to talk to Jim again, or maybe even Cliff too, who helped him, because these guys are super genius, dude. And
why don't we can get Jimmy on here, and sorry, Jim, I'm not sure how we say his name, but we can get Jim, and we can also get Matt from Center. I know they work together quite a lot. Maybe a couple of other guys, and they can explain how this whole thing works. But it seems super interesting.
Yeah, dispel all like what we think an NFT is, because it's a lot less complicated than a lot of people understand it.
Maybe for you too, well, because of the MetaZone situation, I know how you guys are very sensitive on the topic of deploying NFTs. And I think the community, obviously as the creators grow, and even the hosts, right, are going to be super interested in that data. And I mean, just me personally, as being a host that owns a shit ton of your metas, I would be okay with you taking obviously not years, but some time to dig in to see what would need to be done, so that way we're protected as hosts and meta owners, so that way we can redeploy it on OpenSea and they're not copied, because I'm sure Feblob and Aaron and all those guys don't want their shit copied, Sugar Club, actually, stuff like that.
Yeah, we got to look into R-Wave and make sure you're right. I mean, the whole idea is in Decentraland, you can pretty much copy anything that you want. But if it's connected to a backend, that functionality, even if you copy it, it gets disconnected. And so the value of it is gone as soon as you copy it. And so it's important to protect the creators, because a lot of that stuff is like houses that don't have a backend, right? And so if there's some way to protect it, maybe with R-Wave, I mean, that's exactly what we're going to do.
This is crazy. It's crazy how many new areas we're all kind of pioneering at the same time.
Yeah, it's also important. It's like right now we have 336 people who have signed up to MetaZone. That doesn't sound like a lot, and 115 or so have deployed metas out of that 330. So that's like 33% conversion of a sign up. That's pretty good. But that isn't absolutely a lot of people, right? From an absolute standpoint, that's nothing, right? And so we need to have thousands of people sign up so we can have hundreds of people deploying, so that we make sure that when we launch those smart contracts, whether it's for payments or NFTs or anything like that, that we don't restrict ourselves from the flexibility that we have right now, to make sure we provide the creators with what they need. We provide the landowners the payment splits that they need, and everything is protected from the sense that if you buy this NFT, I mean, it's yours and you can deploy it whenever or however you want, right? And right now, it's just we don't have enough data to make that claim. So that's another thing. Is like, it's probably good just to have this kind of grow as it is, and then implement the smart contracts for everything. At least that's how we see it.
Yeah, I don't know, Franky, you still
alive, man? I'm running down. Yeah, I'm definitely running down on energy, man. It's been a long day.
Let's call it for Franky, man.
Normally I'm ready to go on, whatever, but I am pretty tired. I ain't gonna lie.
Like your eyes are open, but you're probably asleep.
These guys are the one thing that's keeping me going is the guys in the Gamers Hub Discord are just making the hilarious memes right now. So, oh man. All right, guys. Yeah, I definitely should shut it down. Daniel, thank you so much for hanging out, man. Always a pleasure. You literally wide open anytime you want to come talk to me, man. And just say the date, say the time. You good?
So settle sometime for the next week.
Yeah, we'll do it next week, definitely.
Daniel, can I just ask really quickly that the Tomb Chaser game you had, the new one, that's a really cool place for a venue for an event, like just a conference or something. Can you clear it out or have like a certain section dedicated to do that? Because I really love the cyber look on the inside and the neon look. It looks so cool. I thought
yeah, we can. That's something we want to do. Like maybe not going to the top, but if you go into the inside, the first place you go is really big.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of space where you can we can place like streaming or whatever. So yes, we can do that.
Yeah, because man, I'd be totally down to hold some conferences there. I'm just like looking for venues. I can't build the venues. I don't have like the imagination to do it. But when I see them, I'm like, we should have a conference there.
So, that's something we can do. So hit me up on Discord.
We could do a gaming conference there or something like that, man. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys. You know what it is. I appreciate you guys doing this every week, staying consistent. Thanks for everybody that's in Decentraland still. I see a few of y'all out there, man. Thank you. And everybody in the Gamers Hub Discord, much love, man. All right. I am crashing. Talk to you guys tomorrow.
Have a good night, guys.
Have a good night, guys.
Later.
Okay, yeah. See ya.
Peace.